Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of films.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
It's good to be back recording after what seems like an eternity.
Yeah, it's what COVID does to you. As you can tell, we might sound a bit, well, definitely me, more nasally. I've only just come out of the darkness of what is COVID.
And I'm still kind of coughing, spluttering as I'm trying to talk, so just have to bear with us a little bit.
But obviously, while you're not feeling well, what is the best thing to do is watch loads of movies.
Mm-hmm.
And that is surely what we did. There was a couple that we've parked as well, that we've kind of...
Yeah, for the time being, on
watched.
The back burner.
And we've got them on the back burner because we wanted to come back with something that was worthwhile listening to.
Yeah, I don't know what this is about, what we've put on the back burner.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good opportunity to sit down and watch these with you, the Indiana Jones films, because I want to cover them, but it's obviously like a lot of dedication, time and stuff.
Well, yes, it is. I've worked out the time that is. So there is 4 films and they're 2 hours long. So that is 8 hours of my day life.
We didn't watch them all in one day. Go on.
No, we didn't. But that is 8 hours of somebody's time, well, both of our time that we've put into this. So just when you're listening, just appreciate that and think they've sat on their bums for 8 hours. To be fair, it worked out quite well with us being poorly. I guess it's given us a bit more time. Normally, life schedules gets in the way. And
exactly.
Things can get a bit hard where when you're not feeling well and you can't go see people. Because really, I know, we won't go down that dark route of what you can and can't do. But personally, we stayed at home, didn't we? And we did what we thought was right by us and our family. And freed up a lot of weekends.
Yeah, and through the week as well, obviously I haven't been editing stuff, so it's kind of like a bit of a chill vibe and just taking it easy.
Making sure that we get back to reformed health. Just, I know I got it a lot worse than Paul did.
Yeah, bless you.
Mine wasn't that pleasant, which a part of me is quite gutted because I thought I was quite fit, but I'm hoping I just got a harder dose. And that's what it was, because it's just one of those things where you think, if I get it, I'll be all right. And you just don't know, do you, what you're going to get, basically. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're recording. We've watched loads of films. And we're back here so that people can listen to what we think.
Yep, so we're just going straight in with this. No pre-ramble, obviously, because we weren't really in a fit state to be doing There's that kind of thing like we would normally. So we're just going right off the bat with Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Dun, 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 dun.
And stop, because we get copyright claimed.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that. Does that mean I did it really well? That we would get copyright claims?
Can't be too careful.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So, we open up and we have a very dishy young Harrison Ford. Yeah. He is mighty fine.
Yeah, I've got to admit, he's ruggedly handsome.
He's gorgeous. Looks better with his hat on. When he goes into the school and then he's got his glasses on, not meaning this in any way or form, it's his hair. He could still be Indiana Jones and have his hat on and his glasses and I'd still find him attractive. I don't know, he looks weird with hair because he looks like he shouldn't have any when he's got his hat on.
He should be bald underneath the hat. Is that what you're saying?
A low stubble or something to go with his stubbly beard.
Yeah, but bear in mind, when he's in the classroom, he's kind of cleaned up a little bit. He can't be wearing his scruffy outfit. It's not very professional to be a Dr.
Why?
Jones.
I would definitely be swooning.
Well, I mean, the young ladies in the class are already kind of doing that anyway.
yeah,
aren't
but they don't
So-
even know what he looks like when he's not in
exactly.
class.
They'd be like, whew.
Yeah, because that is...
Take me now.
Because that is a whole new level. For me, obviously, I've not seen, I know, shock horror, any in Indiana Jones films. I do know the classic, what I wasn't allowed to do, soundtracked, or every time he's going to do something amazing or he's accomplished something, that music comes on.
Yeah.
So for me, all I can compare this lovely young Harrison Ford to is Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So, like, I'm saying Chris Pratt. Not even Guardians of the Galaxy, more
Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
Definitely not...
beefed up a little bit. Not Parks and Recreation.
No, definitely not Parks and Recs.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's a good comparison, really. I think the only other thing you might have seen him a lot younger than that was be in Star Wars, the original.
Yeah, no, he didn't look as good.
No, we started like the kind of smug smile kind of.
But the hair, was
Well,
it like a mullet or something? Or
kind of, yeah. It was obviously just a style, wasn't it?
it was awful. The hair was.
Yeah.
That kind of it just
not the same. No, not quite the same, is it not?
No.
The chiseled.
And
look.
It's his chin.
Yeah.
His chin is mighty fine. He's got a very chiseled chin, and just it's very, very nice to the eye.
But did you know, like, any other cultural references going into this? You know, like any other scenes in particular? Like, oh, I've seen that referenced in something else, or
I knew he had a whip.
Yeah.
I knew he had a hat.
Yeah.
I knew he swung like Tarzan.
What do you mean by that?
Kind of like uses his whip to get across. Get across,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I thought it might have been like vines or something, but I knew he somehow swung places.
Right, well, there's obviously a lot when we get
Well,
later down the line, we get to something involving that, but yeah.
And that's about it, really. Didn't even know what they were called, I'm not going to lie.
The films themselves.
Yeah. Also, I just assumed it was similar to like Tomb Raider, but the only Tomb Raider I've watched is based on like the games.
Yeah, the one that came out a few years ago. I think it was... I can't remember the actress's name, but the one who represented more looked like the one from the more recent Tomb Raider games, not the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider, which I haven't seen
any of those, to be fair.
The only other thing you can sort of relate it to in terms of video game related thing is the Uncharted series, which is like the male equivalent of Lara Croft.
Have I played that?
No, I don't think you have.
No.
Obviously, that was more recent anyway, as well.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 2000s when that came out.
But I do quite like this thought of being... I really enjoyed the Tomb Raider games, and I quite like the idea of this mythical thing, or not really mythical, like historic,
legendary kind of, yeah.
You don't know if it's real or
it's
not.
Kind of a myth. Yeah, it kind of works the same way, yeah.
Until you get there to discover it. And I feel like that's amazing that something like that is out there in the world where you can discover these things. I'd like to think some of it is true.
Yeah. Some, obviously, like, there's obviously been talks about Holy Grail and those kind of things. And all these relics and artifacts. But, yeah, I mean, from the get-go, you kind of, with this film, it's kind of like you're setting the scene of, like, in the jungle and everything. It's kind of keeping a bit of mystery to who he is until it'll kind of reveal with the kind of, like, silhouette. And it's like, you know, like, you don't see his face until it kind of comes out the shadows and stuff. And it's like, here's our guy.
Yeah. And it's a good way of panning out. You know the film's going to be solid throughout. I feel like always when you say there's going to be a second, a third, a fourth, you get that a bit of speculations that it's going to get worse as it goes on, which we will cover. So I had high hopes for this one going in, with it being the first one, I guess. So Lost Ark, just a brief overview if you're wondering, it is Noah's Ark.
Huh?
So it is like a biblical, isn't it? Guessing it's to do with the Bible.
Well, I've got written down, because it's kind of like, okay, this is kind of like an important thing about the Ark itself. It's the Ark of the Covenant, which is to do with Moses' stone tablets. You know, like the Ten Commandments type of thing. So it contains.
Yes, I knew it was something biblical.
Yeah. So not little.
Not
a
little
little
animals.
tiny miniature boat thing. No.
Well, ark makes it sound like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know what other ark does anyone know in the Bible?
Yeah,
let's be honest.
That's true. Yeah.
But I'd have thought, to be fair, if you'd have said Moses, I'd have gone basket. You know, he was.
Yes, I guess. Yeah.
Shipped over a river or something in a basket. I should know all of this because I went to a Christian school.
Yeah.
And we had devotion or something like that. I can tell how much I paid attention. We shouldn't let our children listen to this when we do have them, by the way, because I'm saying I didn't pay attention in school, basically, aren't I?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So we see that he's going on a mission, and that's kind of the theme throughout all 4 films.
Mm-hmm.
And he always has to have a love interest, it seems, as well, throughout.
A kind of like a different take on like the James Bond series, in a way. That's kind of what that's another comparison can be too, in terms of cinematically, anyway.
I've never seen any James Bonds. I know I'm going to be shocking everybody in the universe now.
There's a lot of them, so I don't blame you. But
Goldfinger or whatever, I know that song.
Yeah.
So I'm aware of Bond and he's shaken, not stirred. And he has every other woman. It's a different
there's
woman.
only about 3 or so in the film, in the space of them. But I mean,
what a hussy!
Yeah, but Indiana Jones, he's kind of like it's just like just one per film, it seems.
I feel like that. Oh, it's just one per film, so it's okay. But still, in the end, by all of it, it's like the first one is the best one.
You mean the love interest? Sorry, is the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karen Allen, she seems to hold her own, really.
She's one of those where, well, yeah, she holds her own. She doesn't rely on him too much to save me. She's not like, oh, save me now, or oh, I've broke a fingernail. She seems to chip in, get involved. She's interested in what he's interested in.
Yes.
So she's out for the same cause. Mm-hmm. She has that background and knowledge. Mm-hmm. She's not just like a floozy, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of introduced to her with like, she can hold her own in terms of drinking liquor as well. So she's got like the strong-willed, basically.
Iron stomach.
Yeah, with that. So that's kind of like, oh, well, yeah, this is a character I can be interested in.
You like a girl who can drink a beer or drink a shot, Paul? Is that what you're saying? Why are you with me?
No, I mean, like, it's not just, oh my God, look at me kind of thing. And that kind of, like, thing. I'm just meaning something like, okay, well, this is, it's, you know, like, having strong female characters is always a good
no, 100%.
Yeah. Can root for. That's what I'm getting at. Not whether
I like a lass that can drink.
Drink under the table, no.
Also, what I found really interesting was, you mentioned, do I recognise her from anything? Mm-hmm. Now this, it was when she spoke that I could recognise her. And it was really hard because I knew her, but why, I don't know. And the fact that I didn't know really annoyed me because it's one of my favourite family Christmas films that she's in, which is Scrooged. Yeah. So she's, I don't know her name now. Lumpy. No, she calls him Lumpy. Claire,
that's it, yeah.
Just came to me. So yeah, and she was lovely as a character in that. She just seems to be a solid kind of female lead.
Mm-hmm. So we meet Marion in Nepal. So obviously we have the kind of like, another thing is the travel by map type of thing is their thing, which is used a lot in films, and so you see is the reference of the, you know, the either swapping the when he's swapping the gold statue out for something else, and then the boulder comes down. It's another thing that's used over and over in films and stuff. It's
really,
yeah. But didn't we said?
Oh yes, we thought of Crash Bandicoot, didn't we? With that.
Well, you did, yeah. Is that where got the idea from the chase scenes? One of those levels.
Yeah, because it is really the similar thing.
So, running away from Baldy. Yeah.
But I don't think Indiana Jones does the blah, 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 when he gets hurt.
Whoa! No, he doesn't. No. So there's when he gets to Nepal, there's putting her in danger a little bit because the Nazis are after the Ark. They want to find obviously the staff to find the location of the Ark, and obviously they want to have an invincible army kind of thing. That's what their goal is, really. So
and she's not really happy to see him. To be fair, sounds like one of those breakups where Taylor Swift would go, "We are never getting back together." Yeah. It sounds like they're on and off, basically.
Yeah, and
it seems to be that he ended it not so nicely with her last time, and then he just shows up out of the blue, wanting something. Like, no woman is going to really tolerate that. To the fact that then he leaves and she says, "Come back tomorrow and I'll give you the whatever it helps to make him find whatever they need to find." I would be so frustrated because after that, the Nazis come in and they burn down my pub because of Indiana Jones. And I'd have been like, well, I've had a happy life here.
Yeah.
I can drink people under the table and get money for it. I've got my own little pub going. And literally, you've come into my life and been there 10 minutes and now I've got nothing.
Yeah.
So she has to tag along because, like, well, I've just lost my pub that cost me £5,000. Yeah. You're going to have to now make it worth my while and I'll come with you because I've got nowhere else to go, basically.
It gives a good reason to go, I suppose. It's like, there's nothing tying me down type of thing. So there's...
And as well, she feels like she should be getting what she owed from this. So once Indiana Jones has been able to resolve it, I'm sure he'll get some form of commission or something. They'll get paid for finding something out.
I like, there's a little reference with I think, again, Home Alone may have got the idea to use this, is that in the, obviously, burning of the pub, or bar, whatever you want to call it, the main Nazi guy picks up the amulet, and it's red hot, and he's and runs out and goes out in the snow and go, cool it down kind of thing, and then he's obviously got the imprint of the...
He's got part of the information burnt on his hand, hasn't he?
Later on is revealed, yeah.
Should have just picked up the other side and burnt the other hand, and then he'd have both.
Kind of sucks though. He's like, that is information. It's just on my hand for the rest of my life now.
Look, everyone, what have I got on my hand?
Yeah. So they go off now from Nepal to Cairo, Egypt.
Yeah.
And we meet this an old friend, basically called, I think his character's called Salah or something like that.
It's a good job you wrote it down because I haven't. Yeah. All I've put is there's a bad monkey. Look, great note taking, Sophs.
But it's because he's it's cute little what's those a boo type.
Definitely, it reminds you of a boo, and he does the and kind of screeches over at things, communicating with you. However, a boo was being either mischievous or helpful, whereas this monkey wanted. He was bad. He was for the other side, but he was like a spy monkey.
Yeah, spy monkey.
Basically.
Yeah.
And he really clinged to Mary Ann, which obviously, why wouldn't any woman think, oh, this is a cute monkey and it really likes me? You're not going to think, no one in the right mind would think it's a spy monkey.
No.
You're just thinking, oh, this animal likes me. And it turns out that he kind of causes more havoc.
Yeah.
In the end, than is worth, really. But he just get his sad
comeuppance.
Thank you.
It shows that a bit later on that it's not that as smart as it makes out, because it's kind of the greed gets the better of it and ends up dying through a poison attempt on Indiana Jones.
Yeah, which was by his master or owner that did it.
Yeah, so
he kind of killed his own monkey.
Yeah.
Because the dates were just too appealing.
Yeah. One of my favourite bits, a memorable scene in this, when Indiana Jones is like the crowd parts when he's kind of doing the chase down for Find Marion or whatever, and there's this guy wielding one of those. I don't know what kind of swords they are off the top of my head, but he's
the same ones that they have in Aladdin, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guards have. I know what you mean, but I don't know what they're called.
And Indiana Jones is forget this, and just pulls out his gun and just shoots him. It's like, why am I even bothering bring a gun to a sword fight? Choose the gun.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah.
Funnily enough, though, thinking about that kind of comes into the fourth one, but it's not a gun. It is. He brought a knife to a gunfight.
Oh yeah.
Further along, so it's kind of replays on itself. Is that a saying that's known quite a...
Yeah, it's a well-known saying, yeah.
Because I know it in Taylor Swift's song. So that straight away when he said it in the fourth one, that Taylor Swift song came in my head. Anyways, referring back to the first film, because the monkey's bad, we think Marianne is...
Been blown up.
Yeah. Straight away, we know she hasn't. Because I'm like, yeah, right, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Even I was cynical and wasn't upset about it.
Yeah, you weren't like, no.
Maybe the younger Sophie would have been, but I'm like, she's not dead, is she, really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? I was right. She's not dead.
Mm-hmm.
So she was all right. Well, somewhat to a degree. She was tied up to a pole, trapped as a prisoner.
Yeah. But still. Yeah.
She was alive.
But she did try and, in all that sequence, she was trying to, again, being more competent than other female leads might be. I find there's she bashes somebody with a box, which is kind of amusing, and then later on just kind of does a frying pan trick, when someone comes to a building and it's dong, and it's
Princess Peach.
Yeah.
Straight away in Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, so she's got a wits about her, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A woman loves to hit somebody with a good pan.
Yeah.
I mean, that would hurt. Knock you out.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really like her. I think she's got a wits about her.
Yeah, I do. I think it's one of the good selling points about the film. I know I ain't seen it in a good while. It's more remembering stuff from childhood more so, but I'd seen it quite a few times from back in the day.
Did you watch it with your parents?
I don't know where I would have really seen it, to be honest. I think it was just on TV and stuff, but...
Can't imagine your dad putting up with that for 2 hours.
You watch James Bond films and they can be a bit longer.
Is he actually not falling asleep through them?
I don't think so.
Huh?
But anyways, we get the another famous-ish scene was when he's got the staff and he's aligning it up with the thing to find the location of this in the scale city. It's the beam of light has to be at the right place at the right time, like a prophecy type thing. And it's...
But the annoying thing is, it's literally over the road, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
By the time that he's done, it's it's not really a stone thrown away from where the people are.
Yeah.
So it's still in the same base camp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of makes it a little bit more comical because of that.
Right.
Because they try to do some shifty work where people, because obviously they're in a desert.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to hide in a desert. You're going to see people from miles on.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see people working on this area that nobody should be there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of obvious, really, from the get-go that...
Yeah, let's look over the hill kind of thing when they start bringing it out from wherever, yeah. But, yeah, anyway. But again, it's obviously dramatic music and stuff on this thing, and it's even got that... I wrote down, it's that sound, the light piercing, whoosh.
Yeah.
And it's it reminded me of the Dark Crystal, at the beginning of that when obviously the light beams hit the Skeksis and that. And
yeah.
It's so weird. It's kind of a kind of thing. It's almost like a magical fantasy feel about it.
I get that. It does give you that, as well as the comical one where obviously Indy's relying on his friend to help him back up.
Yeah.
To a point of where he gets kind of lumbered into another job. I'm trying to think how Indy gets out, actually.
Like the Nazi flag or something's dropped down and it's oh, great, kind of thing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
We do see Indy finding Marianne as well, to a point of where he's going to rescue her, and then goes, "Oh, actually, I should leave you because it's going to cause more problems.
Yeah.
If I rescue you now, they're going to know I'm here. So I'm going to leave you there." And it's how cruel is that?
Yeah.
But he's right. He's right with what he's saying. But still, he should just rescue her. But no, he doesn't. So that kind of, I haven't seen that before with somewhat like a hero.
Yeah. Normally it's all right, let's get out of here type of thing. But it's kind of nah, right. Just
Nah.
actually thinking about it, this isn't beneficial right now. So
We're just going to leave you there, love.
yeah. And then soon we get to obviously another thing of what Indy's fears. Snakes. Why do it have to be snakes?
That line just doesn't even seem realistic. Like, I don't know if Harrison Ford is even scared of snakes. I feel like he's not. I feel like they've said, "Oh, what do you like the most?" And then put loads of snakes in.
Yeah, you're having a field day
Yeah.
with me. I think, because I said it was not good having them. Why did it have to be snakes? Because that's kind of like not in his character. He's kind of like a subdued.
Could have been a bit more like oh, why did it have to be snakes? A little bit more like angry about it instead of just like
defeatist kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah, pretty much. Which you kind of don't get that from him. You feel like he goes on and conquers.
Yeah,
not defeated by a snake.
It's not just one snake. There's a whole chamber full of them.
That wouldn't bother me that much. I don't think.
Really,
more would be spiders.
Well, yeah.
Like, if they were like tarantulas.
Why did it have to be spiders? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be me.
Yeah.
So you're kind of flitting back and forth here from Indy being with all these snakes and trying to scare them away with fire and such like that to get to where he needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At the same time as Marianne being manipulative heroine, I would say.
Mm.
So obviously she's in the tent and this other guy's, I'm sure he's part of the Nazis.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you haven't treated a lady how she should be treated," and brings her a dress and dolls her up a little bit, gives her food and wine.
And so it comes back with the trying to drink him under the table like she did before. I've got the willpower to do that. But it kind of turns on her in a sense because what the drinking is from his own, what he grew up drinking. So it's kind of like, a match there kind of in a way. So it's kind of like, that's...
Yeah, I still think she was okay though, wasn't she? She was pretending to be like drunk.
Oh, yeah. And I was trying to come across, but she was hoping that he would be like on his ass, really. But it's like, no, joke's on you, I can stomach this stuff pretty well.
Yeah. And she did want to try stab him with the butter knife or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Don't know how far she'd have got with that, like. But sadly, this other shady character who really looks like Hitler, kind of psycho Nazi.
It's like, yeah. Call him that, yeah.
Comes in, and obviously he doesn't really treat her with any respect or anything like that, and says, "Oh, you're trying to make her look pretty and stuff like that." And
it basically ends up just putting her down in the tomb area with Jones.
Yeah, they fathom out that Jones has done all the hard work, and then they're going to take the glory.
Exactly, yeah. So, and there's when obviously with all this, she's not like screaming over the top when obviously they do the puzzle solving to smash through the wall and stuff, where the snakes are coming through. Because she said, where do these snakes come from? Are they just there, and who keeps stopping them up?
Yeah,
kind of thing. But I guess you could say that about who's feeding snakes through. But
well, true. But I think she also is seeming a bit more better than him with the snakes. So she's actually seeming more strong-willed.
Yeah.
Than Indy is at this point with the snakes. But she just seemed to say she's in high heels, in a dress, that she wasn't really wanting to wear. She was just trying to get away. It works really well. Obviously, he tears a dress. Yeah. So that he can get more of a flame. Then don't know why at one point, though, she's walking around with one shoe.
No, I don't.
I don't know if that's more like a weapon, like she thinks, I can bash the snakes away.
Yeah. Well, one of them fell off and... Yeah,
she didn't bother picking it up.
Yeah, well, it's not really practical for the desert anyway, is it? To be honest,
imagine walking in them in sand.
And then there's after that, there's a big whole thing of action stuff. Obviously, like in an airfield, and another good sequence is when this big German beefcake guy comes along, and you were like, oh. He was interested because he's taking his shirt off.
It looked really gay, didn't he? The way he was doing it,
Well, you pointed that out in the thing, so thanks for pointing that out.
Ruining the moment for you, Paul.
Yeah. But obviously he's obviously a tough match, really, and there's a shot Indy gets knocked down on the floor, and then the plane is turning, and there's this propeller coming towards them both. Indy can see it, he can't. He's the other guy's, and then Indy cowers away, and he's like, huh, what's going on? And looks, and it's like, oh no, and he gets blood. There's a blood splatter. And it's a really good shot, and it's really
it works well.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, it's like a boss level for Indiana Jones. It feels like with this.
It's a good matchup. Yeah,
yeah. And to be fair, Mary Ann does quite well with shooting off people in the plane and spinning the plane around.
In the first place, yeah.
Yeah, so a good little cameo between the two.
And then shortly after that, it's kind of like recuperating a little bit, having a bit of a wind down in terms of like, all right, it's a bit of a quiet moment. And then there's this strange bit is a bit odd, like, oh, kiss the boo-boos better, kind of.
Oh, I think it's cute. It would be something me and you would do.
Yeah.
Well, I'd make you do.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying it hurts. And it's like, so she's like, well, where does it hurt? Because he's been grumpy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, here, on his elbow. And then obviously you know where it's going to lead to. It's quite adorable, really, I think. And it's a nice romantic way instead of just being like, oh, we've done it, and now we have to kiss and make out at the end.
But with that, though, it's kind of like a kiss, and then he like, for some reason, falls asleep. Maybe he's just really exhausted, and she's like, oh, we never get a break, do we? And then I think it's kind of like implied that they did, like, sleep together eventually, maybe when he woke up or something, because she's kind of like, he gets up out of bed, and she's like, oh, just under the covers kind of thing and stuff, yeah. But then I think it's like a takeover of the boat that they're on and everything. And I noted down what a badass moment this was, with the fact that Indy's hiding away initially, Devoid being taken away with Marion, and he kind of like, you don't see it really happen. It happens quite quickly, but the fact that he swam all the way over to the submarine, and it's kind of like, moment, and it's like that. Well, how awesome is that? Like, he just swam like breadth of however wide that distance was between the two boats, and he's like on it, like that's so cool, and ending up on this like Bond-esque layer kind of thing. It's like a very much reminiscent from other Bond films, is what I mean by that. Really, having to dress up in some uniform and stuff to take somebody out to disguise himself and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually we do get to another thing, and obviously it's quite gruesome for something that's like a PG rated film, because obviously they get the Ark and they open it up, and then all these ghostly things and horror stuff comes out, and it's like fireballs coming out and setting people on fire, and then the face melting.
Yeah,
stuff.
So that looks unrealistic. I written down.
Well, I don't know how realistic you want it to be.
I don't know, I don't know what I wanted.
It's pretty terrifying, to be fair. It's a very noticeable thing of like blood coming down and melting the bone.
It just looks more like a candle wax melting than like what human flesh would do, I guess.
I still think it holds up. It's just an iconic bit, really. And yeah, they get the comeuppance and everything. That's the main finale to that, really, and then it's kind of done. And then it's back to the university, and talking about we've got top men working on it, on securing the Ark away, and it's like top men, like, okay, just leave it at that, don't talk any more about it, really, and just leave it be. And then there's another thing is that, which weirdly I kind of noted from the fact that a lot of when I used to watch Family Guy back in the day, a lot of references to this first film were used in things like especially this like top men thing, and then there's a couple of times and just like somebody pushing a crate along, and and this big thing in the warehouse of other boxes, and then turns a corner, and whatever reason, I don't know. Really?
Right,
I don't know the reason why it was used in the thing, but it's kind of like why use that? But I don't know. It's obviously just an iconic thing they wanted to use. But so it's overall it's a really solid action film. I really enjoyed from revisiting after it's been so long seen it, but it still holds up, and it's I'm going to say it's probably is my favourite from all.
Definitely, there's no brainer.
Being transparent about it, but it's.
Well, Mary Ann is solid in it. Obviously, at the end, they get a drink and then it cues the music, and that's kind of the ending of you knowing that they're kind of an item. You just assume.
Yeah.
Back again. And just the relationship between those two, obviously.
Yeah, the good chemistry between them. Yeah.
Indy being as dishy as he is, and the storyline is not like the most fantastic storyline, but it's conclusive. It goes along, and it's got its actions.
It's good. It's got good pacing overall. Yeah. There's never anything. It's a good basis of like action, quiet moment, and you're always intriguing in some way, shape, or form. And it's
definitely
really
it's got a good storyline between it with the action. I would say for me, the action sometimes at the end is a little bit longer than I would anticipate.
Right.
I get a bit bored with just action packed. I rather like dialogue, and that kind of stimulates my brain a lot more than just watching a couple of punches and such happening.
Right.
So, with that all being said, are we scoring at the end? Is that how we're doing this?
I meant to ask this before. Do you want to just do them one by one? Like, we just score it as we go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so, because we've already kind of concluded, really.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, well, sorry, it's
me, isn't it?
First.
Oh, damn it. Oh, this is tricky, because whatever I score this is going to be like a high benchmark than anything else after the fact. I can't feel like it can get any higher than this. I'm probably going to set this one at an 8.5.
Okay.
I think it's solid all round. Really like Mary Ann. Just, a really good film to watch, and it's enjoyable, and I would watch it again, even though it is 2 hours long.
Come so have you seen...
I know.
Like in Endgame and stuff, and they were way longer and stuff.
Have I watched Endgame again? Not yet.
You have.
Have I?
Yeah.
Have I? Don't remember.
Yeah. Most films are 2 hours long anyway, so...
It's just too long.
I don't know if I can... Oh, it'd be too easy to say a 10. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not saying it's not worthy of that. But
can you really justify it?
Not as such, because it's not like... I mean, it's something I had a big, long gap. It's not like something I've had, like... Because I've had from DVD, and then I didn't even have it on Blu-ray, and now I've got it in 4K kind of thing. So it's kind of like a big... It's not like something I've been like, oh yeah, I must have that every single step of way in formats and stuff. So I will give it 9.5.
Wow, that's high.
I think. Because it's just such an enjoyable, easy watch. You don't have to think too much about it. You enjoy it for what it is, and what it does is fantastic. It's actually, you want to, you strive to be what he is, like, as a... Are
you going to become Indiana Jones? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's never going to happen.
Why? I'll marry you then.
It's just really, just a blast, really, and I can't say too much bad about it, really, to be fair. I know it's just, I don't know, I think it's like, there's things that are obviously more just the 10 in terms of like enjoyment, more so that I've maybe watched more, perhaps, than I have for this, but not to say that I wouldn't watch it now, especially I've got more easy access to it now than did before, and in the best quality. So
it's true.
So yeah, there we are. Now going forward, I don't know obviously how long we've been babbling about rambling. This one, but obviously we did a little bit before that. But
also, to be fair, I feel like we can be a bit more snappy through these now.
Yes,
because really, let's be honest, the first one is the best one. Well, let's just be clear.
Okay, so I'm intrigued to know. Obviously, like going forward though, like where do they rank in terms of your in compared to this one? So. The next one being Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom!
And what I didn't actually know until I saw at the beginning of the films, it's kind of like tells you what time period it's set in. So I looked back and think, hang on a minute. Temple of Doom is like a prequel to the first one, which I didn't actually know until I saw the numbers and flicked back to what I've written down, because I made a special note to think of what time period these are all set in.
I always get confused. So you're saying Temple of Doom should have been before?
It's set yeah, it's like Hobbit like thing or Lord of the
Why
Rings.
did they do that? Like,
Yeah, I always assumed that this one was just a sequential follow-on.
yeah, I did.
From the other one.
I'm kind of glad now that you said that, though, because I feel like he's progressed a little bit, because I felt like Indiana Jones' character in the second one, especially with
a bit different, yeah.
With his floozy that he's got in this one.
Yeah.
She grates on me. Willie, is it?
Yeah, which it's just a funny name, to be honest. Of all the names you could have gone with in terms of I know she says it was a stage name, but like, why that name? Is it to do like, oh, you know, gives me the willies kind of thing? Like she's just a big scaredy cat.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what female name. Like, obviously, you can be Dick, can be William. Is it?
No, Richard.
Richard. Is it?
It's Billy, little Billy. It's William, but
I'm trying to think of a female name that could be Willie.
Yeah, I don't.
Williana.
I don't know. Who knows? But it even opens up with a different thing as well, which I completely kind of forgotten about this one.
I wonder why, because it's a dance number, like a Broadway
like a thing for whatever reasons. So I don't remember this part. And
I quite enjoyed it actually, because obviously I like dance. I love Strictly. It was To Anything Goes, and it just didn't feel like you were going into an Indiana Jones film, though. That was the weird thing.
Yeah. Especially when he's introduced, and he's like wearing this again, like a James Bond attire.
100%.
Yeah. Like he's gonna sit down in a casino and get some cards and whatever.
I do get a bit annoyed with the fact that he gets poisoned so early on. I feel like from what we saw, me thinking it was like obviously the first one, then this being the second.
How do this stuff together? Yeah.
How did he not obviously be clever enough to think that might happen if somebody's offering you a drink? Mm-hmm. So that did annoy me from the get-go. Like, we've got, his character seems to have digressed, but maybe with you saying that now, makes it a little bit better, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
We have Willie, who is a pain in the arse throughout. She makes it more comical and not in a good way. She's annoying as hell. She's one of those girls that is being portrayed like
as a stereotypical, oh my god, like
pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've broken a nail. Oh, my hair's falling out or whatever. It's like, oh, just get a grip. Nails break. It's life. Like, they grow back. Get over it. And I think I really can't relate to that kind of person. So even trying to stereotypicalize that.
Yeah.
She just seems like this. She's no good in any of it. She causes more havoc than...
She does, yeah. I mean, there's when she's kind of like having to tag along for whatever reason with...
But why?
I don't know, really. Why she's even part of his journey in the first place. She's kind of like, oh, come with me kind of thing. And it's like, well, who knows? Just a means of having a female involved in the storyline.
I would rather her not be there, to be fair. Like, she really ruins it for me. It's meant to be funny, but you know my thin line of humour, and it just grates on me. There's many scenes that we get to where, like, we're in the jungle and she's screaming at everything.
That is a bit over the top. It's like, run over to here, there's another animal. Like, run back there. And
the elephant, like, the fact that he gets so pissed off with her, I don't even blame it.
Yeah, I don't blame him. It's
squirting perfume. And it's like, it's a poor creature.
Yeah, I know.
No wonder it's flipping her off and squirting her and everything. Because I'd want to do the same, and I'm a human.
Animal cruelty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a different time, so.
We do have, though, somebody in this that does make the film for me, which is Shorty.
Yeah.
He is a little boy that Indy kind of is taken on because his parents are no longer around, so he's like an orphan.
Yeah. And
he's more badass than Willie is. He's like fighting people off and being useful, and he seems there's a bit of comedy there, but it's lovable and it works.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. It's for the like relatable for the young kids as well. So like this young child's involved in these adventures with this more mature guy, and it's like it's believable. Like, oh, maybe I could
go on it.
Yeah,
Like, there is a scene where he's kind of stuck in the find. Even that annoys me as well. So we get to where we need to be to what are we finding now?
Ancient stones that are stolen by this evil priest, really, because it's obviously like all the children have been taken away.
Oh,
from
yes.
this village in India. And this before we carry on, one of the things that about this is it's kind of just set in one location, whereas the other ones they kind of like jump around a bit in terms of location, which I kind of prefer because it keeps it kind of fresh in a way. Like, oh right, we've spent a bit of time there, now we'll go to somewhere else. But this is all in one part of India, and it's like I said. Well, obviously there's a bit of differentiation with where it's set in certain location, obviously interiors and stuff.
Yeah,
but
it is.
It's I think I kind of prefer the whole jumping around the world.
Yeah, it makes it more like an adventure, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas this one, they're obviously trying to help bring the children back. Obviously, this area now that they don't have the stones, not able to grow crops, and it's more malnourished and everything like that. So obviously, they go to the palace.
Yeah.
And she gets dressed up, does Willie, and they have this grand meal, which annoys me as well.
In what way?
Just the extremeness is like, I'd like to think...
Do you mean it's kind of like, look at this funny culture that like, people in India eat strange, wonderful things, which is kind of like, is that really the case?
Like monkey's brains for dessert or something like that.
Yeah, and a snake with... I don't know if they are snakes or eels inside them. That is disgusting.
It is. And obviously Willie faints, with it all, and like, can I have soup?
I think I would, to be honest, if I served that up on my plate. But it's
like she asked for soup and it came with eyeballs in it and stuff, and it's like...
This is a Halloween party or something,
It's really over the top.
Yeah.
And then obviously they put them up in the palace.
Yeah.
There's this weird scene where Willie and Indy are going to get it on or not.
Yeah, it's like, you'll be over here in 5 minutes. And they're kind of like pacing back and forth. It's like, she'll be here, or he'll be here. Kind of cutting between the two. And it's like, why is he so interested in her all of a sudden now? Is it because she's kind of like glammed up a little bit? She was a bit like, rough and...
I just don't know why he likes her in general compared to Mary Ann. Like...
But like I say, it makes a bit more sense now because she met her before.
Yeah, I think it's just a pretty little thing, isn't it, basically?
If you go in the mindset of thinking, well, is this a continuation? Where's Marianne type of thing? It's a bit strange.
And then it's like, why are you going for her when you could have Marianne? That's what my brain was like thinking.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. She's clearly
superior.
Yeah. There's no brainer about it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he does come rushing back in. So she thinks, I'm here, Indy. But he's had somebody else trying to assassinate him in his room. He's then looking for clues within Willie's room.
Mm-hmm.
And why does it have to be the boob statue? Why does he have to hold the boobs to get through? Yeah. Like, that's just irritating me for some reason.
Sexist.
Of all things, like, why? We'll throw in a pun, I don't know. It just didn't work.
Yeah. Is that, kind of like, him right here kind of thing? Like,
yeah.
Because, he's looking past her, he doesn't care about her at this moment in time. Well, I think you mean when you were saying earlier about Shot Round being, like, in a situation where he's maybe not so smart in a sense, but it's tricky to be like, stay back and, like, I won't touch anything, and he lean against the wall.
Well, he's kind of, I'm pretty sure Indy said, go near the wall.
Yeah, he did. And he even says, Shot Round even says that. It's like, no, you told me to stand over there.
Yeah. I was doing as you said. And it's not my fault that then the whole ceiling was about to cave in and collapse. And then
we've got to rely on her to help out, and it's like, oh my god, we're screwed because she's so incompetent. Oh my god, this is so disgusting. And
I do wonder though if my I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here had ideas from Indiana Jones films where you're putting your hand into loads of insects to feel around and
can't think they wouldn't.
Yeah. Once they get out of the tomb and she actually rescues him, they get this kind of further in a weird ritual that's going on.
Oh yeah, but but then again, she trying to triggers it as well against like, oh, for God's sake, like really, like why?
Useless. She's really useless.
But yeah, sorry, we go to this. This is when the film gets kind of quite dark. Really, it's probably like a bit comical at the beginning. No, it's just like really like seriously moody and
it's
tonal
weird.
Shift. Yeah,
and I don't really like it.
Yeah. The reason, what I kind of know on a bit of separate research, is the fact that both the people involved, Steven Spielberg, who's directed all these films, by the way, and George Lucas, who's been involved in one way, shape, or the other, they were both going through divorces at the time. Oh. So there's a bit of, I guess, metaphorical thing in a sense of like, like, ripping the heart out because,
okay.
That was kind of a part of their actual lives kind of thing, it felt like. So they were kind of like placing that in the film in a way that kind of reflects on their mood, I suppose. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
See?
And also, I'd like to point out the lead lady, Kate Capshaw, is the director's wife. They are still married now. So I think at that point they kind of met on set, I think.
Oh, right. So you mean he remarried her?
Yeah.
So he's going through a divorce.
With somebody else.
And then found his floozy on set.
In a way, yeah, I suppose.
So that just appealed to him, that character she was portraying.
Yeah.
So obviously he was getting his heart broken and wanted a rebound.
And then...
But married her.
I don't know if it's a bit libelous, but yeah. To say that. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up as well, just so I've...
No, it's interesting to know. We also have the children working in this kind of tomb.
Yeah, like the slave, like the mines or whatever, it's like... Oof.
And then you get to a point of where even drinking blood, like, is kind of getting enforced on somebody, like, on an indie, and it's like, whew, God, I don't know which one I preferred, the really humour that I don't appreciate, or this dark tone it's becoming. Mm-hmm. Then Indy turns bad. Yeah. Like, the blood turns him because he tries to prevent drinking it, but obviously then when someone's opening your mouth and choking you as well, and all of that, you're going to end up having
not for lack of trying, but he kind of turns, and for some reason it seems like fire is the what snaps the spell or something, really, strangely.
Yeah.
It's
but Shorty saves the day again.
Yeah. He holds his own in this, really.
He does. If you weren't for Shorty, then Indy wouldn't have got by.
Yeah.
But Willie just seems to cause havoc.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually the one that, in the end, is in the cage getting...
lowered down into this fire pit, yeah.
Which I kind of don't mind that. She doesn't scream as much as I'd have thought.
Yeah, although there's a bit of going up and down, yeah. With the thing rotating it to...
But I think she must just be fatigued by burning out a little bit, that she's not screaming as much, which I appreciate. Screamed more in the jungle than she did when she were on that.
And there's a couple of what I feel like is a good balance of bonding, in a sense, between Indy and Shorty, because there's like a moment where Indy gives Shorty his baseball cap and vice versa. With that, there's kind of like, like respect from one another, obviously, in the sense of that, and you're like, you need your iconic baseball cap and I need my iconic adventure hat, whatever the
cowboy hat.
Well, I think there's a cowboy hat, but there's a word for it. But again, I don't know what the word is, the brand or style escapes me for that. But anyway, and then there's another bit where then they're both having like a punch out with different characters. He's punching one guy, and then at the same time, Shorty's like battering up I think it's the
Prince.
Yeah, Maharaj, who's been turned as well.
Yeah.
So that's good as well. Yeah.
A voodoo doll on Indy at that point. And then obviously he burns him and then he becomes good as well.
Yeah.
So it does work out quite well. Like he's more like Indy's sidekick than Willie is.
Yeah. One of the main staples of this film, which I'm pretty sure must be like a theme park ride or something in Universal or Disney World or something.
I've not been on it.
Is the minecart sequence. You obviously get a lot of shots, like angles from being within the car as if you are riding along with it, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
It does work quite well.
Yeah.
I think the action in this, though, is quite lengthy. Because we even get to a point of where, once we're out of the tomb or mine or whatever you want to call it, we still then have another scene with the bridge part.
Yeah. Do you think that's...
Don't know, it just felt like it went on for quite a while to say that they'd already freed the kids from the tomb.
But it seems like you get you get obviously a bit at the beginning, and then there's a big long portion where there's not really much action going on.
And it's like
and it's all
shoehorned.
crammed in at the very end almost. Yeah. So for that, it's a bit, the letdown and stuff. But to be honest, obviously that whole bridge sequence is pretty like, oh my god, like that's crazy kind of thing.
I wouldn't walk on it anyways normally.
No, you're scared.
I'm scared of any bridge.
Even bridges that are fairly look pretty stable, you wouldn't not be walking on a wooden bridge.
I think for me, I used to be quite a big girl, so I am scared of standing on it, still thinking I'm that big girl and I'm going to fall through.
Yeah.
Like, or sit on something and it's going to break.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that still kind of stays with you, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, the thought of that and the height that you'd be falling.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, Indy doesn't care about.
No.
Because it gets to a point where Shorty does a thing that I would hate when anyone would be on a bridge. Where it's like, look, it's safe. And he's jumping on it. And like, no, don't jump on the bridge.
No.
Hate it when you do it. Or in an elevator, that's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get the dramatic scene of where you've got bad guys at either end, Indy's in the middle, and Shorty and Willie are further towards crossing the bridge, but not got to the other side, where he cuts the bridge in half.
Yeah, so everybody kind of falls, all the bad guys kind of fall down into the ravine, either dying there and then, or the crocodiles kind of like eating them in the water, I think. It's not violently shown, it's kind of just slow. You can just see him with what looks like ragged clothes, really.
And then the British troops come to help.
Yeah.
Like laststopminute.com.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then we kind of get to a bit of a happy ending. The stones get returned, the children go back to the village. Mm-hmm. They've got water and plenty of food and they're thriving again.
Yeah.
And then there's this bit where I wish it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Where it's just this cheesy, like, romantic ending, which sounds so weird coming out of my mouth. Like, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Are you a bit like Shorty where you're, like, covering your eyes?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Well, he whips her, doesn't he, and brings her in.
Yeah, like, I don't want to do anything to do with you. And then, he's like, no, where do you think you're going?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like, you clearly want him, really.
And then looks like they're going to kiss, and then Shorty kind of interrupts it, doesn't he?
With the elephant squirts.
Yeah.
Water. Naughty elephant squirts water.
And then they end up with a kiss, and then
anyway,
that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the end of the film. So, in terms of ranking this, I'm not sure where I actually put it, but if obviously you go with your score first, maybe help me decide really, because it's definitely not going to be high as.
This one I struggled with the most, which was strange because for a second film, I thought I would have enjoyed it more. I thought it would be going downhill. Mm-hmm. Further along. I think Willie really was an issue for me.
Yeah.
But Shorty will give it brownie points. Mm-hmm. But I really didn't. It was strange because I thought I wouldn't enjoy it. And I don't think I did enjoy this one as much as I thought I was going to. I thought like third, fourth would be worse.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think for me, it's going to be like a 6.5.
All right, okay.
It's just middle for diddle. It's not really bad that it's completely like a low score.
I wouldn't say it's really bad or anything like that. It's just not as strong in terms of pacing and stuff.
And Willie's just a pain in the arse.
And she is, she's a bit annoying. I forgot how annoying she was, really.
Yeah. Especially if you like kind of comparing it to Marianne.
Yeah, no.
It's hard when you've seen her.
Yeah.
And then you get this whiny woman.
But what kind of obviously, like I said before, is like, oh, if you're thinking that this is before that, then that makes sense. It's kind of like, he's kind of.
But I didn't know that when I was watching it, so I guess that's impacted my viewing of Indy a little bit. He's gone down in my respectable books.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've seen this one as well, and probably not as much as the first one, because obviously, like I said, I'd completely forgotten about the opening dance number kind of thing. It was more stuff from the back end, and especially like from roughly around the part where in the temple and stuff, and with the monkey brains and all that kind of stuff. From that point onwards, it's kind of, that's a bit more familiar to me than the rest of it, the beginning part. So I think I will put it at a 7.5. There's things that could have been improved on. I suppose if this was the first film, then that would maybe leave a sour taste on people's.
True.
I don't want to go see the next one type of thing. So,
but you just assume that's what he's like then, so you wouldn't expect any better of him, so it wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah. It's probably something, obviously, to revisit again, but I think the first one is definitely the most solid. So
100%.
Yeah.
No brainer.
Hi there, it's Heather from Watching Netflix Without You, the podcast. There are over 1,200 Netflix original feature films and documentaries, and that number is only growing. So I've made it my mission to watch as many as I possibly can, and with a delightful guest or guests in each episode, rate, review, and discuss each film. And that's about it. You can listen to Watching Netflix Without You on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more.
So on to the third one.
Yeah.
The Last Crusade. Now, I thought I had seen this one. It turns out I don't think I have. I've only seen like one section.
Really?
Of
like me? Like when I've watched Up and only seen like the end or something?
Yeah. So it was, I think, obviously an action-orientated scene where they're in the desert and it's the tanks.
Yeah.
That part of the film. The rest of it's didn't know anything because I don't remember this at all. Other than the fact that Sean Connery was in it.
I quite enjoy this film. It's weird. It's got parts where I've enjoyed it. Like I really enjoyed the opening lines and scenes where he was a young scout boy, which is obviously indie.
Yes.
We kind of see that he's already got a passion for relics being either in museums or staying where they should be.
Yeah.
And you see him kind of taking on a group of people
and stuff,
stealing the relic and for profit, basically.
Yes. Yeah, so this belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
And he's a young boy and he's passionate about it.
Yeah.
And you do have a bit of an action scene where they're like on a circus train or something like that, where they've got like these snakes and lions. He seems to not be fazed by snakes at this point.
Well, yeah, I think initially there was a bit where it was a snake in the cave or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't bothered by that, but I think that's supposed to indicate when he falls into that thing of the reptile carriage and the train, is that that's where his fear of snakes come from and stuff, and then that's where he learns about using the whip because he's getting rid of getting the lion to move back. It's like, why? Like, I'm more scared of the lion more than anything. So you realize it'll maul you to death. But there we are.
And by the end of it, he gets the hat off the person who tried to steal the relic because he goes home to tell his dad what he's done. And obviously his dad's too busy in his own world of trying to find relics and such that he doesn't have time for his son.
Yeah.
And somehow the sheriff gets involved and gives the relic back to...
Yeah, the bad guy and whatever. But with that hat, obviously placing the hat on his head, that's a good like transition obviously from young to old, because he puts it in, he lowers his head down and then it cuts to when he's older and it's like in a rainy situation, he's kind of like, been beat up or whatever. In this other situation where he's trying to reclaim what he had lost or what had been given away at that point.
Yeah.
Years later, so he does get it back eventually, which is kind of good. I
quite enjoy that.
Yeah.
Up to that point.
Okay, that's a pretty short period.
Yeah. And then you kind of... Well, no, it works all okay up to we meet his dad.
Right, so that's where it falls down.
Yeah.
For you.
Because it feels like a comedy show then, where it feels like Jack Whitehall is going on an adventure with his dad. That's what it feels like. And it's like, his dad's been there before, criticising everything that Indy's doing, even though Indy's actually saving his dad's life, but his dad can't see that.
Yeah.
And they don't really have a great relationship. And I think that's where it falls for me. It's the humour is just a bit too silly.
No, I wouldn't say it was that silly, to be honest.
I think.
No. Considering I've never seen this before, I wasn't like, oh, that's really cringy or anything like that.
It dragged a little bit for me, this one.
Right, okay.
And I wanted to so badly enjoy it. Because I really enjoyed the opener and the story behind it and understanding the mission they were going on. So his dad had been looking at the
Holy Grail
for a length of time.
Yes.
Collating all this information in a little book.
Yep.
And then his book gets stolen and his dad gets kidnapped as well. So Indy's on like a rescue mission.
Yeah, he sends him this little book full of knowledge to Indy to to get as far away from the Nazis as possible, kind of thing. Again, it's a recurring thing with the Nazis being the bad guys again.
Yeah, and then Indy obviously brings it with him to find his dad.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you're not that stupid, are you, to bring all the information here with you?" And it's like, "Oh,
kind of am."
That, yeah.
But also,
is that what you mean by humour?
Is like, for example, with the best example, and I'm flitting, is when they're tied up by the Nazis.
Yeah.
And on the chairs, and they're jumping around, it sets on fire, and then...
Oh, with the spinny...
They're in the fireplace, and it's going back and forth,
okay.
and
right.
Stuff like that. And then the other one would be when his dad's trying to drive away from the Nazis, and they're on the motorbike, and the dad's like just humorous, quitty lines.
Okay.
In the
sidecar.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just stuff like that I guess for me is like making an action film more comedy. Yeah.
Right, okay. I don't really find it that irritating in the way that you're describing, really. Really. I think it's just a bit of light humour that's tolerable. It's not like you're trying to do something really stupidly, like, oh, I've just dropped something down there, and it's like, oh, get out the way, and like you block him with you or anything like that. Or
I just feel like
kind of
because they're both are archaeologists, and they're really intelligent.
Yeah,
that these scenarios shouldn't really be happening. I get it with like Willie in the second one, her not having any knowledge of anything.
Yes.
Whereas because they're both fighting against one another and not like trying to fight for top dog, I feel like that's what's happening.
Because it's like, oh, I know more than you, kind of thing. No, I know more, and it's like there's that relationship. They didn't really have a good bond growing up, and obviously it's the father's too busy to spend time with his son, kind of thing.
I think the mum died quite young,
and so there's that as well. So it's something that obviously the intent is really to have them grow as the film goes along, really. So it does in a way, yeah. It does. I think it works. Yeah, I do. Although it seems that they've shared the same woman, though, which is
sounds really weird,
doesn't it? The female who's of interest in this film, she's called Elsa Schneider, who's apparently her dad's assistant or something.
Yeah,
seems to be allegedly working for the good guys, but then it turns out she's working for the bad guys, kind of thing. Yeah. It's like typical femme fatale kind of thing that you might have in, again, a James Bond type situation.
I guess, yeah. She's not that annoying, which is all right, actually, for the female character. She has got a bit of sass about her. And even it's better than Willie. Like,
oh, yeah, no, miles above. Yeah, so you'd be ranking Marion. This is top, anyway.
Yes.
Then Elsa, then Willie, like...
Yeah, down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the fire pit,
at least she's still interested in the archaeology. She's aware of everything. She goes in the tombs and helps, and she's going against him in the end, but she's still quite a good role.
Bad guy, this kind of thing. You feel like, is she going to, like, turn around or anything like that? Oh, what have I done kind of thing. there are moments where that kind of looks like that's coming into play, but it's kind of like no, she's just kind of still bad through.
And Indy, I think, struggles with that, realising
Yeah.
that at the beginning, because he's a bit smitten by her.
Yeah.
Until he realises she's hooked up with his dad as well, and I think that's then long gone.
Yeah, it's like, ugh.
So, obviously, they go into the tomb together. Indy and the lead lady in this one.
Yeah.
And he kind of says to his dad, yeah, I found it. But you wouldn't have liked it, Dad, because there's loads of rats.
Yeah.
So it seems to be like a common thing that one of them, Indiana Jones, or, well,
the Joneses,
doesn't like a certain species of animal.
Yeah. So you kind of had snakes in the first one. I think it was it spiders or just creepy crawlies in the second
like
one?
No,
it was creepy crawlies in the second one, I think. And then this one is kind of like the rats, like a lot of rats. Yeah, ugh.
I'd rather have the snakes.
Definitely, yeah. So they're trying to get the map back for where the Holy Grail is, and they've got this where Marcus Brody, who was in the first film as well, who was the other like professor or doctor at the university who Jones was working with initially. It's like, why have you got this incompetent guy trying to do this, and like trying to find a way around and stuff, and we get a returning of Salah from the first one as well. So it's kind of like, introducing, reintroducing familiar faces as well, which is kind of nice, really. But it obviously it tits up with the fact that he gets captured and everything and like that. And it's like, this isn't great. That's not that silly, I wouldn't say, but it's kind of just a bit more of a light-hearted.
I think it just makes them look really old and incompetent. That's kind of what it's going for, because like Indy's quite young and youthful and able to get where he needs to be. And his dad and this other guy just seem quite
out of it in a sense. That's the prime one. So his dad, I don't know if his dad's ever would have really been as adventurous as Indy was in his youth, but that's never really touched upon as such. But you maybe kind of assume that in a way. Perhaps,
they just go different ways about it.
Yeah,
I do know Indy hates being called Junior.
Mm-hmm.
We do establish
why that is
in the end.
It works in a way as to why. But what I like the fact, well, obviously when they come to the fact of getting back to Berlin to retrieve what had been taken, in amongst the things like, let's get out of here kind of thing, and they get swept up into the whole rally and stuff, and they like meet up with Hitler and get him to sign this book. That kind of thing. I think that'll be worth a fair bit once he's out of the picture, kind of thing. But
as well, you'd have thought Hitler might have gone, wait a minute, what's this all about? And
he's always part important and stuff. But but it's kind of, I don't know if it comes across as like glorifying the Nazis or anything in this. It's kind of like, I don't know, they're doing the burning the literature and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's obviously it's not making note of these are the bad guys. Obviously they are. But
at the same time, when I saw Hitler, I was like, is this actually a joke? Like, are you actually kidding me? Like Hitler,
of all people to run into.
Yeah, like.
I mean, he doesn't speak, obviously.
In what world?
Like, what are you doing here?
No.
Or anything like that. That would have been a bit silly if something like that, or there'd been some, like, silly incidental music going on at that point.
Yeah.
You're like, dun dun dun, and like, proper, like, cut between two.
Of all people, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're then trying to get back, because they've got the book, and they're trying to get out, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So they go on this, like, Airbus.
Oh yeah, the blimp.
And
a Zeppelin or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, again, Indy dresses up as...
uniform,
Yeah, asking for tickets, and then this one person obviously is coming after him.
Chucks him off
the plane, and he's like, oh, it's because you've got no tickets. And that kind of comedy...
Yeah, I admit, that is a bit like, that's a bit silly. Thing. And then it's like straight away the plane takes off, like, that's pretty... Swift turnaround, isn't it? It's like, right, okay, and then they got away with it kind of thing. It's like, I know the plane turns back around or whatever. But and then there's the convenient. We've just get the only emergency plane to just make our little quick getaway kind of things like.
And then yet again another itty annoying comedy value where the dad's meant to be useful and shoot the plane, and yet he shoots his own plane down, and you're like,
yeah. He's like, what happens at 11 o'clock? And it's like 10, 9, 10, 11. Like this is on the terms of like this is the direction you're supposed to be facing, which I kind of. It's kind of amusing, like what does that even mean, really? In terms of somebody said that, something coming in at 10 o'clock. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
like,
which way am I
going to be in
looking?
bed by then, or whatever. Yeah, I don't want to be waiting around that long.
But I do think for me, it's just little annoying bits of his dad. Really, he doesn't grate on me as much as Willie.
Yeah,
in the second, but he's there. And you don't have anyone redeeming like Shorty in this one.
Because it's kind of all just on Indy, you mean? He's carrying it all, essentially.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And you don't even have a lead lady that's great, because obviously she's the bad one.
Guy. Yeah. And then it kind of comes to more the last, I think it's like the last half hour when this whole tank situation that I remember mostly of. I must have just seen the back end, I think.
Feels like this drags on for a bit, for me. With the action side of things. But I don't know if this is because it was like we watched quite a lot of the Indiana Jones
I guess.
In a space, and then this was like it became a bit of a slog.
I kind of get that, yeah. Maybe if it was to re-watch it on its own, like on its own separate after a good while, then you might be like, oh, this isn't as bad as I remember it perhaps. But it's, I'd still think the pacing on this in terms of action stuff, there's a lot more going on with this than there's the second one, but the first one still does it right, I guess, in science. And before long we get to the whole you're finding the Holy Grail at this point, and it's a bit of a situational timer, like because his dad gets shot, and so it's like, oh right, now we definitely need the bargaining chip to go and get the Grail and stuff. So it's going through those things, and obviously the 3 trials.
Yeah, that part I enjoyed. It was the tank part.
Okay, yeah.
That I didn't, if that makes... That was the bit that was long-winded for me, was the tank bit, where... The
puzzle-solving aspect of...
Yeah, that's enjoyable.
Yeah.
I can give it credit for that. It really was. It worked well, and it gripped you to wonder if he would... Mm-hmm. It did annoy me that the Nazis were following him and kind of taking up his work, like he was doing all the hard work, and then they were just coming along.
Yeah. Well, I found, like, I don't really know how that worked in a sense, the last part where it's like walking over the invisible bridge kind of thing, and then suddenly it wasn't.
I think it's the rocks. I think it's your mind over matter. You know, like if it looks like it blends in, but it actually is a bridge.
I suppose, yeah.
It's like a leap of faith, that's what they were saying, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I did put a bit of dodgy CGI as well within that. I don't know what that's referring to. I'm wondering if that is the bridgy bit when they're going over with it. It wasn't too bad, but then obviously you get the 3 brothers swore an oath to guard the cup, and obviously there's one elderly guard there.
Yeah. And you're thinking, well, how have you stayed here so long, and how are you still alive, kind of thing? But it makes sense the way he describes how the Grail works, and it's like one of those situations where, like, oh, you think the most grandeur thing is the one that's clearly the one that's the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
But it turns out the case is the obviously the bad guy, as he comes in, and it's like, oh, it's the Elsa kind of picks it out for him, and I don't know if that's because she knew. I don't think she did, though, because she was like the way she reacted.
No, I don't think so. I think she thought she was helping
him out, but
clearly wasn't. She didn't know what she was on
at that point, because I've not seen or remember in this part particularly that was the case, that she was like, aha, I knew that wasn't the real one. It turns out it's just like one of the most worn down, insignificant looking ones, which kind of makes more sense because obviously it's like an old thing. It's not going to be sparkly shiny, is it? Surely.
No.
As to what you might think. So, but the way it works is that you only have the caveat of having the eternal life is Which kind of defeats the purpose, really. You have to live in the proximity of within the tomb or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Or you can drink it, but you can't take it out, so you can do all the hard work and have to go get it every time.
Yeah, it's just to keep coming back.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then obviously everything kind of comes crumbling down and everything. And for whatever reason, Elsa's like, "Oh, I must grab the thing once it goes come with it." I think, why are you being like so incompetent at this?
I think it's
point?
Her fault that it does that though, because she's trying to take it out, isn't she?
Yeah,
she wants
it.
it.
Oh yeah, so you don't step over the threshold of the thing, and it's like very stupid of her.
I think it's more greed over it, that she wants eternal life and be able to take it out.
Yeah,
she dies.
From that, and it's like, well, duh. Yeah, it's going to work out for you and everything. But...
Indy tries to save her as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
I was like, why would you bother?
Yeah.
Like, just leave her. Like,
I know. It's just trying to be the better person on that, I suppose. But yeah, obviously it's showing that he's not just like a soulless
I'd have left it.
Be like, at least try and like get some redemption, but no, it didn't work. Anyway. But they managed to get out anyway. Unsuccessfully without the Grail, but obviously there's a reason behind that, but at least his dad's still alive.
Yeah, he saved his dad, didn't he, in the end? Yeah. Even though, at least his dad got to get to, well, he didn't actually get to see where the Grail was,
no,
but
he didn't.
Got to witness what the Grail
miracle,
could do.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
So, at least that's something. And we learned that obviously why he keeps calling him Junior is because he is actually Henry Jones Jr. His dad's called Henry Senior. But he's named after the dog, Indiana.
Well, I think he's picked that, hasn't he, himself, Indy?
It's like, sounds better, doesn't it? Yeah.
And as well, it must be, I don't know why, not meaning this offence to anyone who has done it, but if we had a child and it was a boy, I wouldn't want to be calling it Paul Parks Jr.
Yeah.
It'd get confusing, like Paul, and it's like, well, which one? So why don't you just call him Junior if you were gonna...
You have to be like PJ or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why, like when you have abbreviations like that, it's because it's like referring to Paul Jr. or...
Just think it's just name him a different name and then it makes life easier.
Yeah. Don't know why there's no shade on people who are named that, but just seems an odd concept, really.
I don't know if it's one of those where it kind of kept the name in line, like more...
Yeah. I don't know if that's more of an Americanism. I don't know. I can't think of anybody who's, to my knowledge, who's called...
Junior.
Like, yes, in the UK.
Don't know. There'll be somebody, probably.
Yeah. Anyway, and then the whole riding off into the
I
sunset.
predicted that was going to happen. I already knew it. I was writing it down before it even happened.
Because they had the horses and everything. But that would, to me, definitely signify that's the end of the chapter, and that's how we're ending the series, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like perfect, like that's it, right? Riding off into sunset and like go live our lives, rest of our lives happily ever after type of thing, and that's that, really.
But we have a fourth one, don't we, to cover as well now.
Yeah. Before we do that, let's hear your score for this.
It's really hard to do this because it's like, obviously I've given it 8.5. I think I did a 6.5. 6.5 for the second one. So this one's not as bad. It does have its really good points at the beginning. So I think the dad bit does great on me and the action takes a little bit longer, and I think it just felt more like a slog. Probably not because of the film, but more because we just watched like 6 hours of Indiana Jones films.
Yeah.
That it was just getting a bit repetitive, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
With the plot, like the way that you want to find the artifact and do all of that.
Yeah.
I'd probably say it sits at like a 7. It's just mediocre. It's not as bad as the second.
Okay.
But it's just one of those that kind of is a bit forgettable, I think, in comparison. The second one grates on me, and I remember it because of that.
Okay.
Where the first one stands out, and then the third is like, it's just all right.
Well, I think, considering this is the first proper watch of it, it definitely holds up better than the second one.
Mm-hmm.
But is not as good as the first one.
No.
So therefore I'm kind of putting it somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
And that being 8.5.
Okay.
Really. So I definitely would like watch this one again. Probably be like, because obviously it's more of a continuation, really.
Yeah.
It'd be like the first than the third. Maybe
Ignore
bypass the second one.
Yeah.
In a way, which is kind of odd because normally the third one you think you're right. Yeah, run out of steam.
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
now, but it's kind of a sort of improvement in aspects, really.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, very strange. But there we are. And now, lastly, we come to one I've definitely not seen, although I obviously know of it as being one of those, like, why was this even made kind of thing of than the obvious money, quest for more money.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, this one is. It really is a fine line.
Yeah, because especially as the last Crusade was 1989, and then, like, it was 2008 when this came out, so that's a big gap.
Also, Indiana Jones was more like an old granddad in this, which was a bit of a shock watching them all together and seeing
exactly. Yeah,
Dishy.
such a transformation.
Yeah.
Did he? Sorry. Did he still maintain that the ruggedness throughout the first three? Didn't he?
Yeah, he was gorgeous all the way through.
Yeah.
Not saying he was. Is a fine wine. He's aged very nicely, but obviously for me, he's an old man at the moment. Maybe when I'm a bit older, I might find that attractive. But you know, I'm soon going to be 30, so I feel like he's probably about 30 years old as the rugged young indie.
Yeah.
Whereas he's about 60 years old in this.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't want to date a 60-year-old at the moment.
Yeah.
And so it was a bit of a shock to the system. He's not as agile, bless him, because he's older.
No, you can definitely tell. And you don't want to be reminded of, like, well, everyone's going to come to this age. And it's like, you don't want an old an old Batman fighting in streets of Gotham, do you? Like, oh, that's not really what you want to see, really. You think of as this immortal being or
character,
this thing, and it's kind of like, you're going to get old, and your favourite character's just going to be
not able to do the same things that he used to be able to. I don't know, there's parts of this that I quite like, which for a fourth one I'm surprised.
Right, okay.
And there's certain parts which I'm just like, it's like, oh, it's typical of a fourth film.
Want to start with the good? Because
the good is the story. So only because we get Mary Ann back.
Positive, I'll give it that, I suppose.
Yeah. We get to understand a bit more of background on Indy. You get to obviously get a bit of a history on him a little bit. So you've got obviously the relationship that there was something after the fact of the first film.
Okay.
And they were an item.
For a while.
Yeah. And obviously the boy that comes to him, no brainer, everyone sees it coming. I'm sorry if it's a spoiler to anyone, but it's Indiana Jones' son.
Yeah.
Which creates a little happy family, which it's not a problem. It doesn't bother me. And the ending is quite nice because you get a little bit of a rom-com of an overdue romance that should have been a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess. So
that part I quite like as a whole, and I think it ends quite well as a chapter. The rest of it.
So I don't know if that's the way you described that, like when you said the story and stuff. It's like I was thinking, oh right, you thought it was all really gripping. You're just kind of like pointing out the fact that these kind of like little moments in between that's relating to Indy himself, like in his personal life.
Yeah, ties it up back.
Than actually what is involved with this ludicrous storyline.
This is very bizarre, and for some reason, I thought Crystal Skull, I don't know, is that the space one? And then that made me think that they were going to be in space, and
I'm sure George Lucas would probably have loved it if it was in space.
That's what I thought we were going with it, like, and, you know, there'd be spaceships and stuff like that, and more futuristic kind of exploring and finding this Crystal Skull somewhere else, not on Earth, I guess. So it really threw me off that I only saw a spaceship in like 10 minutes before the film was going to end. Yeah. Because of what I'd kind of heard was going to be a thing. And then the rest of it is, you've got this Russian lady.
Who's majority putting on the accent, and then there's times when she says Dr. Jones, like in a British place, it's kind of like up and down all over the place, I think.
Yeah.
Could be
A bit ropey.
better, but she's not very particularly interesting.
She's not really a baddie, is she? She don't really you don't
don't
hate
feel
her.
really threatened as such, not like the other ones.
No. And you get the opening scene of obviously Indiana Jones being in this kind of Russian military camp, and they're wanting to find the skull, which is highly magnetized.
Magnetic when it wants to be, I'll point out. It's not all the time, because if that was the case, then everything in the entire thing would...
True.
It's only conveniently when it needs to be magnetic, it's magnetic.
Yeah, I've never thought of that, because, like, the cars and stuff yeah. But maybe it's because it had other boxes on it. Should we give it the benefit of doubt?
No, I think it's just conveniently it's to show there's where it is, because, like, when he's throw the ammunition that's ground down into a powder, he kind of... To find it, he like throws it up in the air like magic space dust, and then it's like,
it does remind me of when you're young.
So stupid.
Though,
those
that when you get a magnet and you get the fibre, and it
makes a pattern picture, whatever. Before all that, though, it's kind of like a thing that I don't even really understand why it's even there, and shows like the whole CGI hatred, really, kind of thing. Like obviously every time you've seen the logo come up with the Paramount Studios, and it's gone into a mountain shape or whatever, of some description on, obviously in the mountains, in the actual place, or it's on a metallic thing, like in the second one, it's part of where the dance sequence takes place and everything, and the third one is kind of like a similar thing as the first. This one, for some reason, reveals, the logo appears and then reveals like a molehill kind of thing, and then a little prairie dog comes out, and it's like CGI, and it's like, is it supposed to be comical? I don't really
notice it.
You didn't notice how obviously CGI that thing was?
No, it didn't even register in my head.
I just knew from the first thing I wrote down on the thing is like, that was like, why is that?
When you said CGI, I thought you were going to say about the meerkats, which I don't know why they were there in the film.
That's what I'm referring to, the prairie dog.
I'm sure there were meerkats in the film.
No, they weren't meerkats, they were prairie dogs.
What's the difference?
Prairie dog is more, almost like a gopher type of thing. It's more like chubby and stuff. Meerkats, you know what a meerkat looks like? It's really thin.
I just thought it was badly CGI'd.
It was badly CGI'd. I don't even know why they were there in the first place, but...
What's it called?
Prairie dog.
Prairie dog. I didn't know they were a thing. I'm so sounding thick here. I'd have called that a meerkat. Is it part of the meerkat family? Prairie dogs are herbivores. Burrowing mammals. Mammals. Jesus, Sophs. When you say prairie dogs, I'm like, what are you on about? I'm just going to have to...
Well, I don't know why you thought...
Well, I've wrote meerkat. Oh, okay. So, meerkats are from Africa, while...
Yes.
Prairie dogs
are American.
From
Why would you
America.
have a meerkat in America?
I don't know. I thought that they'd just put it in because...
Go on.
You're going to laugh now.
You're not going to say compare the...
Yeah, like that. Like, was it around that time that film, that advert...
No, that was way before then.
...was, like, popular, and they were like, oh, we'll just throw in these meerkats, and it was like... But no.
Also, that's more of a British thing anyway, it's not an American
True
thing.
But no, they're very, very bizarre. I've learnt something. What are you laughing at?
Oh, dear me.
I didn't know it was a thing, I'm so sorry.
Right. Anyway, so, yeah, I don't know why they're there.
I don't either, but...
Because they come back and it's like, was it a little funny thing?
I'm more baffled now with the species of animal that has just entered my knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's a prairie dog.
Yes.
And what do they do?
I'm not going to that right now. We've got too much to talk about with Indiana Jones surviving a nuclear blast in a fridge.
True. Very true. Very true. Would that work?
Well, the only thing I did note that I've obviously knew that was a thing that was stupid. The only thing it does show when obviously he opens the fridge, on a label it says lead lined. So it's like, oh well, if the lead is like a bomb shelter kind of thing, you have the like thing. But even so, the distance he gets flung across in the explosion, and he's like rolling down the hill, bones will be broken and everything concussed or whatever, and just
He gets out with no scratches.
Exactly. He's like, oh, I'm fine. That was all right.
I also have another gripe. I'm sure it's like a Smeg fridge or something like that,
Yeah.
where it's they're dinky fridges.
Yeah,
like
he's quite.
Indy's quite chunky, even though he's more of an older man.
Yeah.
He's still quite broad. I don't think he could fit into a normal Smeg fridge. Just an argument that I've got.
Yeah.
And how convenient that it was a Smeg fridge, just a fridge. You know, it wasn't fridge freezer. If it were a fridge freezer, he wouldn't have had a chance, would he?
No, he wouldn't. No.
And that it was bomb proof. Like,
exactly.
Why would they put that in there? To blow it up.
I mean, the situation, I don't really even know what is really added to anything, because it was just a means to be picked up by the government again. Like, you're safe and everything and stuff. Because there's no other mention of that after the fact. Like, because of, gamma radiation, he's been washed down and everything. And after that, it's like, okay, like, meet back up with everybody and stuff. No real
repercussions or anything like that from it.
They could have done it any other way. I don't know why they had to do it in that weird way, other than to, I guess, remind people that nuclear bombing was a thing. I don't know.
Or is.
But anyway.
I do take one line, though, from it. I can't remember who says it. Aren't I great? Getting to the age where life stops giving us things and it's starting to take them away. So we kind of see that he's lost his dad.
Yes.
I think it's to a point of it's the guy that's in the third film that's always he works with.
Yeah, that was Marcus. Yeah, he died as well.
And then obviously he's got fired from the school, the university, because the FBI are rooting around his stuff. Yeah. So he's kind of losing everything he's built up. Yeah,
it's all going downhill for him and everything. So it's not looking great.
And then he's on a train. And a motorbike comes up going, oh, old guy on ramps or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how he'd know that he would be on that train, or how we'd be allowed to be doing that kind of thing.
And also, how does he know it's him?
Exactly, yeah. That doesn't really explained.
It's not like his mum sent a picture of a recent version of Indiana Jones, because she hasn't seen him in ages.
Yeah. So this kid is Mutt Williams.
I thought he said Mud.
I thought that initially, but when I Google, I think Mud would make a bit more sense, I guess. Why would you call these Mutt, even if it was like Willy or something, like a stupid slang name or whatever? But because he's a dog, I don't know. But he's really irritating.
Is it because a mutt you wouldn't?
You don't know your dad is.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's it.
I guess.
Or you're a mixed breed. That's a mongrel, isn't it? Yeah.
But he's got this greaser.
Looks
jacket.
Like Grease Lightning, literally. Like, that's where we've stepped into.
Yeah, it's obviously of that era, and he's got this gimmick of he's got a knife all the time and everything,
and a comb.
A comb. He's always combing his hair for whatever reason. It's like
He's the vain one. He's the Willy in this one. I think.
Yeah, his self-image is so important to him for whatever reason on that stuff. But he's not particularly interested in this character. Really, other than just a means of, like you say, it's I've got a son type of thing.
Yeah, and I think because Harrison Ford is a lot older in this, it's preventing him doing all the stunts or his character.
Yeah, true. But...
you need somebody, not meaning that in not being ageist, but a bit more realistically, somebody a bit youthful to be able to
do the action scenes.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Because my God, some of these things he can't not do anymore. Yeah, he's mostly just sitting around doing a couple of bits, and then
the young one is coming in, isn't he, and learning basically.
Yeah. Like there's a car chase near the campus. It's I feel like it's trying to be kind of epic, but it's not. Doesn't come across that way. Kind of feels a bit like bumbly in a way, and stuff's not like that's really exciting and engaging.
No,
like compared to what we've seen in other. Maybe it's because it's like a more neutral location as opposed to somewhere exotic and stuff, perhaps. But
maybe the only thing I got from that was, if you wanted to be an archaeologist, get out of the library. That was the only line I'd kind of got from that scene, which I thought was quite apt. I think that's the case with everything, not meaning this in a bad way. you can study and study until your heart's content, which is great, but until you practice it or actually live it, you're not going to learn it, are you?
No, that's true. And then we soon get onto the whole thing of the crystal skull, and it's saying like, is aliens that it's to do with,
and the aliens that are the cliche of what everyone thinks an alien would look like, which probably they won't look like.
Almost, yeah. You kind of see one at the beginning of the film. It's not like the silver skin and big.
It's more like
big
an
eyes,
ET one.
It'd be funny if there was like a cameo of ET in that, to be honest. I feel like they missed a trick there. Makes just the whole situation a lot more silly. Like, all these artifacts that you believe are like could exist in the real world kind of thing, and then you kind of throw in this sci-fi element to it, like, just because they don't know, like, where do we go from here? It was like, well, why do you even need to go here? Kind of with this film is the argument there. But
I feel like for me to make the third one stronger, I'd have wanted Marianne brought into there, and we could have had a marriage or a relationship blossom in the third when they were young.
Okay, yeah.
That would have worked out better for me, I think, and then we wouldn't have needed the fourth. Because that's the only bit that I take away from this film, really.
Exactly, yeah. If anything.
Yeah.
But the thing with the skull, anyway, is supposed to be, like, to do with having psychic, reading your mind type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, staring into the skull, and you, like, gain its knowledge type of thing, something like that. It's a bit...
Yeah, it's, like, kind of like being a bit of a psychic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going into your brain and kind of being able to control everybody's move and everything like that, but obviously our capacity of our brains that can't comprehend that much knowledge.
Just daft. And another thing that's quite daft is the whole sword fighting on the jeeps when they're in the jungle, and it's this whole, like, I say, like, very obvious CGI with the situation with this big unrealistic vehicle that kind of, tearing down the rainforest, essentially. It's like, it's almost like something like in a video game where it's like, this is a way to clear the path so that the things, it's like a good trajectory for all the cars to drive along and stuff. There's no other reason for that to exist, really. And then
the action in this is really poor.
It is, yeah.
It gets worse. You've also, before we got to that scene, we got the stuck in the mud kind of scene.
Yes, that was a bit but that was the only put in there to have he's your son.
And he's scared of snakes.
Again, yeah.
Like, pretend it's a rope. Say, grab the rope and then I'll grab it. And it's like, it's still a snake. Exactly. Don't make a difference. No. It's just in your brain. So that was a little bit like...
Yeah. It was like light-hearted music because that was playing as well. So it's like, like in a comedy aspect.
Just didn't appreciate.
Yeah. Very wooden fighting that's going on in that the Jeep stuff as well. I mean, you've got the fencing type thing, It's like, you wouldn't be able to be doing that and
well, the car's moving,
driving along and stuff. It's so stupid. And then even when they're kind of like just doing like hand-to-hand combat, it's a bit like proper, like, so wooden in terms of how it's going on. It just seems so fake and just unrealistic.
Also, the fact that he gets caught by vines up in the trees and then he's swinging like Tarzan.
Yeah.
And it's like, we know he's Indiana Jones' son, and he's...
Yeah, but when did Indiana Jones ever swing from trees like a...
Well, no, but he swung with his whip, didn't he? So I think that's the tie.
Not to that extent, because he's doing as if like he's done it before, kind of things, like, like I've done this all my life, kind of thing.
It's in his blood, Paul. His dad's Indiana Jones. Come on.
Yeah.
Then this weird scene comes with the ants. Like, I was absolutely terrified of this. Like, is this actually real? Can these ants eat humans? And
to a degree, yes. You do have in nature, if there's big anthill mounds and stuff, that like killer ants can swarm a carcass or an animal that's still alive and eat it alive. Basically,
that's terrifying.
That can happen. That's a horrible way to die. I'm not gonna lie, but I think obviously it's in this science fiction-y film setting. They kind of played quite a bit more exaggerated in how they act and move and stuff, because they're kind of building a mound to get up to her, the villain woman.
Yeah.
In this, and it's like, yeah, that's a bit unrealistic because they wouldn't really do that. But I think the idea is behind it is because using the skull to control the ants, so it's like, oh, just protect our little section.
Yeah, go round while we have a fight in the middle
of it.
Yeah, again, another boss kind of fight.
Yeah, who won't go down. Yeah, and then that was the only bit that was kind of really gruesome-ish. Where it's kind of like going inside his mouth and then it's taken away.
It's horrible. It was awful. I was like, no, not going anywhere with those ants nearby.
Because there's not much other blood or anything in. Because I don't know if it's because Steven Spielberg is not very big on now in terms of showing big things of violence. Because like in E.T., when he re-released E.T., in the one we saw had guns in that when the police had guns. Yeah. But in the remaster one, he cleaned it up, and so they had walkie-talkies instead because he's not, condoning violence should be shown in his films. So,
okay, so more because of children possibly
being
watching
influenced
them.
and stuff, I guess. So, like, you don't see any you see guns in this and the shooting, like at the beginning with the going to the Area 51 base, whatever. Mm-hmm. You don't see any bloodshed there. It's kind of just showing off camera. Oh, we're shooting people. Yeah. Kind of stuff, and then it's like, cut to that and stuff, and then they carry the bodies off, so it's like, oh, don't show any blood. That might have happened, even though we're not going to...
Clearly know that's what should have happened.
Yeah, so there's bits like that I think are toned down in this, really, to that effect.
We get the other scene where Marianne is driving the car.
Yes, another very strange section where she can, she knows perfectly well how to position the car so that it can land on a tree and go down this safely, land in the river, okay, and they're all... The
river? Where it's got waterfalls.
Well, ravine, whatever.
Yeah.
It's still a river, but...
But just watching that and looking at your face was just like a picture. It was really funny. She was like, are you actually kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, really, how...
1% chance that I would have worked.
Yeah. And then obviously it's a dramatic fact of that this goes down 3 times now, that they're going to have 3 waterfalls. And that's just a bit like, I don't know if it's meant to be comical where they do this thing where they can see them all sprawling out of the car and then getting back in.
Yeah, and I don't think you would, water, a lot of pressure on falling down on you, even to that extent. Obviously that big massive one at the end, you'd probably be damaged in some way, shape or form. But they're coming out like, oh, that was scary, wasn't it? Kind of like a bit of an experience, and
just have a bit of a shower.
Yeah, yeah. I know you got to have a bit of leeway in terms of like believability in some aspects, but there's just some aspects. Yeah, it's just like bending the rules of suspension of disbelief.
It's going a bit too far, isn't it?
And then eventually we do get to the whole finding out where the other Crystal Skull aliens kind of reside, really. With these...
Indy yet again does all the hard work with his crew, and then we get the Russians coming in just last minute.
Yeah, it's the Russians this time, not the Nazis. Yeah,
it's the Russians.
Yeah, because the Nazis are long gone. And we get so we mentioned about this Mac, who's Ray Winston's character, from
the pain in the ass.
Yeah, he's like does heel turn every 2 minutes, like, oh, I'm on your side, Indy. Now we're working with the Russians.
I'm still not sure which side he was on in the end.
I don't know, because he was like, oh, it's like a triple cross thing, but it's like, oh no, I lied about the triple cross. It's like, just.
But then in the end, Indy tries to save him again, and it's like what the hell?
Yeah, just so crazy with that. But I think I must have missed a moment with the whole tracking device as well. I may be writing down something, because I was like, where are those little things that she's
picking up, knowing.
Up where they were going, leading to the things. I must have missed the initial where he's dropping them on the floor.
Yeah, I didn't see him either, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, if you missed him, then I completely wouldn't have seen him.
Well, then it's like the whole... They're trying to cover up the fact that they're not aliens, they're interdimensional beings. So they're just from another dimension, like a parallel universe or something. But they're still aliens, though.
Yeah,
they look like an alien.
Yeah, it is. It's an alien.
after all.
That's just another
said
way
and
of
done.
making it work sound like not an alien,
Yeah.
but it's just...
It's like, this is definitely not an alien.
But it is, because it even has a spaceship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so daft.
Obviously, the baddie dies, and she merges too much information and explodes.
Yeah, it does this weird, like, with the merging the skeleton thing.
Yeah.
It's like a weird effect, and it's like, make this one super alien, and he does like this weird, like, look at the lens or whatever. And again, with some dodgy CGI, like, what's that all about? Kind of thing. It's just really shoddy. And this is, when, say, CGI is just rubbish and more for practical effects, this is another example of why you shouldn't mess some of things and keep things as they are. The third one was fine as it was. A good closer. It had the suitable way to end the franchise. And yeah.
I do value this just for the Marianne story, I'd say. But that's like literally, that's the only thing I'm clutching at.
I'm happy that she got a reappearance, but I think that was only to have a factor of, gotta have some way of having somebody who could potentially take the mantle of Indiana Jones. And it's like, what's the connection here? Is it just going to be some random ass person who's going to adventure with, or let's have a family connection? And it's like, who's one that's more believable? And it just happens to be her, really. And
I'm just glad that they didn't then try and make an Indiana Junior film with him in, because I don't think I'd have valued that whatsoever if he'd become the new Indiana Jones.
I mean, they really it was so contrived, like how they were trying to do it, because as you say, they get married at the end. It's like, okay, I can accept that. It's kind of like, right, this is a wrap up for that story. There shouldn't be any more now, because it's like he's definitely at an age where he can't be doing this anymore. So it's like, have him settle down with the woman he says, oh, it was always you type of thing. There was a bit of okay, you're just saying that, really. Yeah. This isn't a script to say that line. But then, for some reason, the doors of the church blow open. I'm thinking, what the hell? And then the hat kind of lands at
like it's its own magical powers.
Yeah, I was thinking, I think I almost like burst out laughing. I was like, oh, for God's sake, that is so trying to be on the nose. Like, oh, this is what's going to happen next. But then Indy's kind of like, nope, take that away.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
That's mine.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad, actually, for. It's rightfully his, and he's earned it, so I won't want any more.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
There was only one line I got, so there's a couple of good liners in here, I thought. So, how much of human life is wasted by waiting?
Yeah, I remember you writing that down, or saying that to me. It's like, yeah, you're right on that. That's kind of something to take away.
Yeah, because there's so many times people wait and don't do certain things, or it's not the right time.
Yeah.
And I am one of those where I'm anxious to go forward with new plans or anything like that, just because of the what if factor, and I wait for it.
Yeah.
Which actually then you resent waiting, because then you've wasted your life. You might as well just go ahead.
I know it kind of seems that way with wedding planning. It's like it seems like we've been waiting forever and stuff, but we are getting to the light at the end of the tunnel.
It just feels weird now, because it's like it's gone on for so long. Like, we got engaged in 2018. Like, so near enough 5-year engagement we're going on to.
Yeah.
And obviously we booked the venue in 2019 for 2021. Could have probably got married then, to be fair. But I'm happy with how we've done what we've done, so that it can be the wedding that we want, because you only do them things once.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's worth the wait, because it's still going to come about. But if you wait for something to happen that you don't take action for, then that's what I'm more meaning. Like, if you doubt changing jobs or moving house or doing a big step and you wait for it. But yeah, no, I'm happy that we're going to be getting married in October, finally.
Yeah. So.
Even though I've got to change my name. I'm not looking forward to it.
Well, we are now at the end of the review, but we've got to do one final scoring.
So, the only bonus of this is obviously Marianne coming in. She's not great as a role of her own, but I just like the fact that it becomes a little bit of a love story. The other story that is the main story of the skull, and it's in the title, is a bit weak and lackluster. It's not the same as the others. The story just seems to plod along. it's not as coherent. It doesn't feel like it's even a real thing. Not saying aliens are, but it's not an artifact or of history like Indiana Jones has been doing previously.
Yeah.
It's more like sci-fi.
You don't need a sci-fi element to it at all. It just kind of takes the edge off the whole franchise.
I wonder if they're trying to put a bit of Star Wars into it. I don't know. From it with the spaceships and maybe.
They kind of failed, really.
But for me, I would say it's the weakest one.
Yep.
I'd say 1 and at a push 3, but just 1's the best one. Like, you could just watch number 1 and you wouldn't really need to carry on with the rest, I'd say. Or miss 2 and then go to 3. So I'd say this one is a 5.
Right, okay.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
I'm going to say it's not maybe as bad as some people make it out to be, like, oh, this is an absolute abomination. I was kind of going and thinking this is going to be an absolute train wreck. Like, this is unwatchable.
I expected worse.
Yeah.
Like, Home Alone 3, kind of.
I mean, we haven't seen that.
But like, something like that.
You just know that's the way that it's done, because it's, So, I can't really slag off too much. Obviously, we kind of have a little bit in what we've been saying, like, it's just unnecessary and just does a lot of things wrong.
Yeah.
The only really takeaway is like the bringing back Marion as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Not much else really going for it as such. There's no real reason to come back to this.
Even the sexy beast guy's annoying.
Yeah, really is. He's can't be doing with that. Really whole back and forth.
And his voice
with that.
doesn't change. It's just the same.
He's just one of those actors who never bothers to change his accent. I guess I will put it at 4.
Okay. So you've gone lower than me and higher than me.
Yeah, seems that way.
Yeah.
I just, ends, starts great and finishes terrible.
It's normally the case.
Yeah, it's to be expected. But overall, then, your experience with the films, are you kind of glad at least you've seen the first 3 anyway? And
I've enjoyed them.
Yeah.
And glad that we've seen them and know what it's all about. Probably can park it for a while now.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd probably watch the first one.
Yeah.
And maybe the third.
Yeah.
Just to see if the third one was grating on me, because I'd watched a lot of Indiana Jones films.
I get it. Yeah, I understand.
Well, thank you all for listening to us.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lengthy one, so Paul's got a long time editing. But he's had 2 weeks off, so...
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be away for a little bit. So...
yes, I'll be busy editing while you're...
in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So, but it is for work, it's not for fun. So, you can't feel sorry for Paul too much. I will be working while I'm there. Thank you for listening to us. I hope you've enjoyed having us back, even if we're a bit croaky.
Yeah, I apologise if I'm still like spluttering and stuff as I've been trying to get my point across, but hopefully it's going to keep improving as we go on. And obviously the more I try and talk normally, the better it is, hopefully, to get past this. So thank you very much for listening to this episode, and if you want to check out all our previous episodes, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
Yep, so we are on social media, so you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram are the main ones. We are on Facebook as well, and it's under the handle SP_film viewers.
Yep, and if you would like to be nice and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and wherever else they do the scoring system, that'd be very much appreciated.
Definitely, since we're on the road to recovery, it would be lovely to know that we've been missed.
Yeah.
That would be for sure.
Yeah. Finally, if you do want to make a small donation, we do have a Buy Me a Coffee page as well to, keep the lights on and everything and keep us going.
Yeah, electricity bills. Since everyone's having the same issue with it going up.
Yeah, no pressure, but
No, of course not, because I know everybody else is in the same situation. Yeah. It's global. It's not just our household. But no, any little bit, if you do want to donate to our lovely little cause, then we'll truly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.